It should come as no surprise that what Donald Trump really wants to do is take money from the poor and give it to the rich. This redistribution of wealth upwards has been pretty much the sole function of the Republican Party for decades. The gap between the rich and the poor in the United States is the widest it's ever been. But the Republicans don't think it's quite wide enough for their taste, so they're quietly pushing 3 new changes to make it worse. You may not have heard of this while your face was being blasted by a fire hose of terrible news, but the Trump administration is trying to halt the implementation of something called the fiduciary rule. The fiduciary rule, hated by the financial industry, requires advisors on retirement accounts to work in the best interests of their clients. Great news, everyone! Now the guy who advises your cute little grandmother on how to invest her retirement money can just blatantly screw her over by pushing a plan that makes him richer instead of working in her best interests. If Republicans kill the fiduciary rule, poor people and your grandma continue losing money. How much? Well, a 2015 government report put it at $17 billion a year. And in case you were wondering, that's a shitload of money. The second change is a bill that would get rid of the limit on overdraft fees. Now, this is pretty much the most cynical way that you can strip money from the most destitute. This, of course, has nothing to do with a financial firm that makes a big chunk of its money from overdraft fees, spending $250,000 in the last 3 months of 2016 to lobby Congress. No, sirree, Bob, nothing to see here. You know, people love overdraft fees. As if that wasn't bad enough, Republicans in Congress also introduced legislation that would basically destroy what little is left of labor unions in the United States. They call it a national right to work law. Like most Republican legislation, this is really good branding for a truly awful law that hurts working people. The way it works is this. If you work at a company and the majority of workers decide to form a union, then a union is formed. That union negotiates with management on behalf of all the workers to get better pay and better working conditions. The workers then pay fees into the union, which are used to fund all kinds of activities, like hiring lawyers to defend the workers when the company wrongs them. The only reason that the union can get better pay and better conditions for its workers is because everyone is in it together, and they have more leverage. If one person goes to a boss and says, "Hey, I want more money," it's very easy for the boss to say no and replace that person. But when 1,000 workers all say they want a raise at the same time, it becomes much harder for the boss to fire and replace all of them. Right-to-work laws kill this leverage by allowing any workers to opt out of the union dues, even though the union still has to negotiate on their behalf. Over time, this destroys the union because more and more people stop paying their dues and the union disappears. And we know unions work. 28 states already have right-to-work laws, and wages in these states are 3.1% lower than in states that don't have them. That comes out to about $1,558 a year per worker. And as union density goes down, inequality goes up. So you can see why businesses love these laws. But at a time when corporate profits are at record highs and wages are stagnant, it's the last thing we need.